Hi guys, during NAMM 2017 we are introducing a new product called Synthmaster One, which is basically a simpler version of Synthmaster, but the features are not. But the features are really powerful. It even has some new features compared to Synthmaster. So you see, it has two oscillators, each having a sub-oscillator. You can use the sub-oscillator for different purposes, like you can use it as a sub, or for amplitude modulation, ring modulation, phase modulation, so you can do FM sounds, or frequency, analog frequency modulation. And this one comes with some new analog waveforms. We sampled from synths like this, the Andromeda, the Bass Station, Boom Sam, Fatty, Mini 20 and SH01, and also Uno 16. These are the new analog waveforms. And it has something new that Synthmaster doesn't have right now, which is wavetable synthesis, using wave files that contain multiple periods of wave files, so wave files that contain wavetables. We have a lot of new wavetables here, as you see. These are sampled from analog synths, and also there are some digital wavetables that we created, like these pulses or basic waveforms you see here. These are all wavetables that we created, and this one, as I said, has a simpler user interface, but it's very intuitive. For instance, if you click on any of these modulation sources right here, you're going to see which parameters this source is actually modulating, like this. For instance, if I turn on the LFO amount on the filter, you see this ring. So this means that this LFO is modulating this parameter within this range. So it has a really intuitive user interface. And here on the routing section, you see the routing. And if you change any of the envelope parameters, for instance, you see the curve changes here. So, or if you change the cutoff here, you see, or the resonance, the shape is changing. Or if you change, for instance, the algorithm here and change the waveform like this, you see the waveform is changing. And it's the same for the sub-oscillator. If you change the sub-oscillator here, it changes. It also shows how the sub is connected to the oscillator. If you change this to amp mode, you see a multiplication sign here, which means the sub is actually multiplied with the oscillator here. If I do phase modulation, you see here the PM sign. So it is modulating the phase of this oscillator. Same for FM. You see FM sign here. So this basically gives the user a simple idea, a basic idea of how this how the modules are connected to each other, basically. And also we have all the effects that are available for Synthmaster. We have, instead of 5, we have 6 insert effects here. And if you right click on any of them, you can basically select a different effect. For instance, you can choose the vocoder. This is the vocoder. Or you can choose ensemble effects, or the phaser effect here. You see, all of them are available, and they have visual curves here. So if you change any of the parameters, the curve will tell you how the parameter is affecting the response of the effect. And also some other new features. For instance, here we have something called background noise. We sampled some hiss noise from analog synths. So in Synthmaster we didn't have that. What this does is it adds a very low noise to the voice output, because this is how analog synths work. They always have some noise. I mean, when you especially when you turn down the cutoff frequency, you're gonna hear that noise with your headphones. So it makes the sound more realistic. And also we analyzed the analog waveforms we sampled, and we calculated some tunings from the analog synths. We have here for the scale, micro scales, we have different scales. The default is of course equal tempered, but we also have scales sampled from like the Andromeda, the Boom Sam, Mini 20, SH01, or Uno 16. So first, let's do a simple example. Right now, this is just equal tempered, but if I change this to Andromeda, for instance, you see the scale is different. This sounds more analog. And if you add some oscillator drift here, and also turn on free running, this is really gonna sound more analog. And of course, this is the ideal sawtooth waveform. If I change the waveform to like Andromeda sawtooth, and here if I choose Andromeda triangle, like that, this sounds more analog. And one thing I'd like to add, the waveforms here we sampled from analog synths. They're not sampled at a single note. They are sampled at every 3 semitones. So this makes the waveforms more realistic. That's what we do. And this one has a similar browser like Synthmaster. You have your, we're gonna release banks, so we put the banks list here. You can filter by bank, alter, instrument type, attributes, style, and here you can choose the preset. For instance, let's look at the sounds of Vorpal sound. He really does good drum and bass and dubstep sounds. For instance, this one is using a wavetable. Let's go back to oscillator 1 here. You see, it says grown wavetable 4. So yeah, we have a lot of presets like that. So yeah, that's about it. That's what Synthmaster is all about.
There is also a sequencer, arpeggiator inside.
Oh yeah, there's also, we use the same arpeggiator sequencer that we have in Synthmaster basically. So yeah, we have a 16-step sequencer. And what you can do is you can basically, here you can record some sequences from MIDI. Let's do that. I'm gonna start a new preset and turn on the record here. So yeah, let's turn this on. You see, I can easily record sequences from MIDI. Yeah.
Okay, and price and when we will see it on your website?
Well, we're gonna release it around February 15th. The price is gonna be $79. For existing Synthmaster users, it's gonna be $29. And for everything bundle users, it's gonna be a free crossgrade. And there's one important thing I'd like to mention about Synthmaster One. It's gonna be available for the iPhone and the iPad as well. That's coming during Superboot time. We're gonna be at Superboot and we're gonna release the iOS version during Superboot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom.